guys, so you know why we're here. And though I may be one of many, I haven't really seen many with the same kind of response I had to this online, but I kinda love the new FNAF movie that just came out. Now, any of you that know me personally, you know that I'm actually a big fan of the games, big fan of the lore, big fan of the stories, all alike. And I, like many 5-year-old Markiplier fans, were just absolutely tickled pink, kicking my feet, excited for this new Five Nights at Freddy's movie. And I'll be honest, just like I have for myself, I had low expectations. This world is no stranger to bigwig studios trying to take big title video games and just making them a movie off the title alone without any regard for the actual lore or the story behind it. Hence, they fail miserably. So I'm not actually gonna get into full detail or review of the movie like I usually do on my other movies. I'm more so just gonna talk about what a lot of people hated about this movie, what I actually really liked or disliked about this movie, and just go from there. Obviously, there'll be spoilers. And I don't know why in God's name you would care about my opinion, but hey, here it is. Now, there's always been an aesthetic to Five Nights at Freddy's that people were always kind of just drawn to. And I think this movie absolutely nailed it entirely. Just from the shooting, to the lighting, to the beginning of the film where we have the credits with basically a short little blip of a story on how William Afton took and killed those children in the classic 8-bit style. Love it. But obviously, going into William Afton, this gets into the part that a lot of people complained about, which is, if you don't know the lore of this movie, you won't like it or understand it. And honestly, I come from a very biased opinion of this because I do know a lot about the universe. I know about all the games, I know about all the books, I've watched every single lore video out there. Well, not every single lore video, otherwise I'd probably would never do anything else. But needless to say, I do know a lot about the story, and so do all the people in my life. Mainly just from either me drunkly blabbering about it, or they've probably just had their own experience with the games and their own like or dislike of the games and the media surrounding it. So I can't really make an unbiased opinion on, is the movie actually good if you know nothing about the universe? But I would imagine, just like anything else, if you walk into a movie absolutely knowing nothing about the topic that the movie's about, you're probably not going to have as much fun. Why would I want to watch Fast and Furious if I absolutely knew nothing about cars or being furious, I guess? You gotta ask yourself the same question about this. And the classic FNAF song that I played at the beginning of this video, you hear it throughout the movie at very, very subtle points in time where they use real-life sounds to kind of make the same beat. Like when he turns the lights on for the first time in Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, you hear the tone as he turns on the lights in a very creative way. It's not like they just play the music. They use the real-life sounds to create the tone. Our brains are naturally going to assume that a tone is one that we recognize, so could I be going crazy? Absolutely, but I swear I heard it. And you absolutely have to adore the matpat cameo. Kind of sad Markiplier didn't show up, but we can all thank absolutely 90% of what we know about this series to matpat, so he might as well have been in this movie, obviously. And we're moving on to another thing that people were complaining about, which is the animatronics. I quite honestly don't know what people are expecting when there's a video game about vicious animatronics coming to attack you. What do you want them to look like? Were people hoping that they were just going to be CGI'd monsters that would come and attack you and they looked like creatures of another realm? No, they look like puppets, which is exactly what they would look like if this was real. Which I appreciate so much a movie going for practical effects with the puppets instead of just CGIing all of the robots. It felt so much more real to see them in person, see them move like animatronics, stiff, blink like puppets and animatronics would. I liked it a lot. And another complaint people had were the kills. This was a PG-13 movie, guys. They can't show Saw-like gore. As much as I would have loved to see somebody absolutely disemboweled on that Freddy Fazbear floor, it didn't happen, and that's fine. It's a PG-13 movie, guys. But yes, it is still a horror movie, and we are gonna have kills, but they do take care to kind of always do the kills off screen, or you see the kill happen, or you see it happen in a shadow. It's not really like the full-on gore that, obviously is happening, but they do take great care to avoid showing it all on camera to keep their rating. I think that it's extremely appropriate, and I didn't mind it at all. Going along with the kills, everyone wanted to see more jump scares. I don't really know why. I understand that the entire point of the games is the jump scare, is the final screen that you see before you die, but there's only so much that a jump scare can carry any sort of horror when we're talking about media here. There's always going to be a scare factor in every horror game. You want to feel scared. That's the whole point. But if a movie just relies on cheap jump scares that are loud and come out of nowhere, it loses its nostalgia very fast. And even in a game, you get tired of the jump scares over and over again. Don't lie to me that you don't. But instead of those cheap jump scares that are just loud and they come very expectedly, they went for the whole looming, horrifying, dark ambiance, the constant feeling of unease, the feeling that you're going crazy when you hear bumps in the night, which is a lot more what I think that the original creator would have wanted for the game to be put into this real-life universe, not just, Alright, and I didn't really see a lot of people complaining about this, but I imagine some people did have a big issue with this, and we're moving on to Vanessa. I absolutely loved Vanessa. Not just because we share the same name, so I would be a little biased, but I really did like this change that we added her into this universe very early on. Because let's think about it here. There is so much ground to cover in a FNAF universe. There are literally 14-hour videos just explaining the games and the books and the lore. That is a whole day, people. And you just expect they're gonna make 15 different movies explaining this universe? This isn't Marvel. That would be kind of ridiculous. So of course, we're gonna have to weave some wires in and out. We're gonna have to mesh the past with the present. We are going to have to cut some corners, people. Have some damn patience. We also get that big change and big reveal that Vanessa is actually William Afton's daughter, which I can see a lot of people being unhappy about. Because we all know, tale as old as time, William is supposed to have 3 kids. Michael, crying child, which we think is named Evan, and Elizabeth, and Elizabeth becomes baby. So everyone now doesn't know whether Vanessa is going to become baby, if Elizabeth is just not supposed to exist, if we're supposed to go down a different route. Everyone's panicking because whenever there's new story and new lore introduced, everyone panics. But I actually really like this introduction because we only get introduced to Vanessa way later on in the series, and getting introduced to her right now, it can better explain that she's a slave later on to Glitchtrap, who was William Afton's, dead counterpart, as anybody who knows the lore knows that. But this can explain how Vanessa is a slave in a different way to William Afton even before he's dead, because she already has an ingrained loyalty of family, and even though she might not be his slave, so to speak, it would be difficult for her to turn against him, difficult for her to ever go through with killing him, harming him, or going against his wishes, which I actually think is a neat little change we have in there to pull on our characters. And I just gotta say, in this movie, the William Afton reveal in the Springtrap Bonnie suit was epic. Just the absolute sheer size of him compared to the other animatronics is already so intimidating. Clearly, it's actually a person in a suit and not a puppet, and you can just tell by the sheer size and the more blocky movements behind him, which I really like, because I was really hoping from the get-go we weren't going to get people in the animatronic suits, that they were going to move a lot more animatronic-y, which is obviously what they went for. But the Springtrap Bonnie suit, obviously you're supposed to sit inside it, and then hope that the steel ribcage doesn't kill you. We get a big final fight scene between William Afton and between Mike and his young sister and Vanessa. They all go at it with William Afton. But of course, in the end, just like true FNAF style, William is chased down by basically the children that he killed, and they force the Springtrap suit to malfunction, and it crushes him, and they leave him there to die. Well, as we know, he'll always come back. And that just goes down the route for him to then become Springtrap and then become Glitchtrap in the future. So they stayed pretty true to the story with that one, and it actually just was a pretty neat scene. But I could totally see somebody who knows nothing about the lore of Five Nights at Freddy's being like, wow, that was a pretty boring ending. But to all us big fans, I absolutely loved seeing it. So that's just like my quick summary and my quick review of everything. I actually had such an amazing time throughout the whole thing. I actually did feel scared sometimes. I did feel uncomfortable sometimes. I was excited to see things on the screen. I loved the acting. I really loved the choices that they made with the movie. I think that this was so tastefully done and so well done. Controversial to like a billion people's reviews that I've been seeing online, it was nice to enjoy something for once in modern media, as so many of us just can't find something that make us happy anymore, and this was just a good time for me. So, a little bit of a different video on the channel, but I do hope you'll stick around if you enjoyed this one. Please let me know if you want me to watch something else in the future. I would absolutely love to do that. And do not forget to interact with this video, and please subscribe. It would mean so much to me, and thank you guys so much. See you soon.